Welcome to the fastest daf in town, Tadil Masechtas Megillah Daf Yud. We are going to begin on the bottom of Tes Amud Beis, 3 lines on the bottom. The Mishnah tells us, Ein bein Shiloh Yerushalayim, Shiloh, which of course was the place where there was the Mishkan in the times of Eli HaKohen. There's no difference between Shiloh and Yerushalayim, El Shebeshiloh Oichin Kedashim Kalim, that when it came to the consumption of karbanos, which are kachim kalim, as well as meiser sheni, when it came to the first, second, fourth, and fifth year of the 7-year Shemitah cycle, one had to bring their produce, 10% of it, called meiser sheni, to Yerushalayim, or in this case to Shiloh, and eat it there. Now the din is b'chol haraya. When it comes to Shiloh, they were able to eat it just as long as they were in sight. Says Rashi, b'chol makam shiochel liros misham as Shiloh. Just as long as you're able to see it, that's enough. As Gemara in the end of Masechtas Zvachim explains the reason, as Rashi says, Yerushalayim lifnim min hachayma. You actually had to be physically within the proximity of the wall. V'kan v'kan, when it comes to both of them, when it comes to kachik kadashim, nechon lifnim min hakaloyim. They had to be eaten within the curtains or within the actual makam hamishkan or mikdash. Kedusha Shiloh, as we continue to Aleph, when it comes to the sanctity of Shiloh, yesh achareha heter, there is after which a heter, says Rashi, kishachar b'Shiloh, that when Shiloh was destroyed, hutru habamois, they allowed, as is also brought to Masechtas Zvachim, that they were allowed to build bamos, which are private altars, as we discussed a little bit in yesterday's daf. Kedusha shleim ein achareha heter. However, when the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, no longer are bamos are allowed to be used. So that is the distinction between Shiloh and Yerushalayim. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yitzchak, Shemati shemakriven bebeis chaynoy bizman hazeh. It was given the following words, that in Beis Chanya, Rashi says, a mizbeach chaynoy beno shel Shimon HaTzadik. This was the son of the great Shimon HaTzadik, bana bama b'Mitzrayim l'shem Shemayim. The whole question, as we're going to see, when he built this mizbeach, was it done for avodah zarah? Was it built l'shem Shemayim? So according to this opinion, as we'll continue, it was l'shem Shemayim. Says the Gemara, Shemakrim beis chanya b'zman hazeh, because ksavar beis chanya is a lav beis avodah zarah. That's not considered to be avodah zarah. V'kasavar kedusha rishayne kitchel shaita. When it comes to Yerushalayim, the kedusha then was a kedusha at the time. Kitchel asad lavoi. However, not in the future. Says Rashi, asad lavo means ticharev. From the time that it was destroyed, it does not have the level of sanctity. So now you can bring karbanos on a bama. Only you couldn't bizman shebeis hamikdash kayim, which clearly is not like the sheet of our Mishnah that says that when it comes to Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to do so. Dechsiv kiloi ba'asim adato el hamenucha el hanachol. So menucha zu shiloi. That's referring to shiloi. Nachol zu Yerushalayim. So machash. So we make a hekesh nachol menucha. Ma menucha yesh achrei heter. Af nachol yesh achrei heter. Which again is not like our Mishnah, but nonetheless, this is what he's saying, that just like after Shiloh is destroyed, you can have a bama, so too when it comes to Yerushalayim, there you could build a bama because the kedusha is lo kitchel salavoi. So amrulei amart, as you said that, so amrulahu lo, no. So amrav helukim, amrav gemir nala, mine. You definitely said this. My time at kahadame, so why is he retracting now? Mishim kasha Rav Mori. The Moisamar Mari asked the Kasha, Kedusha Shiloh Yesha Acharei Heter, Kedusha Shleim Ein Acharei Heter. So, because it seems to go directly against our Mishnah. That's why he retracted. Od Tanan Mishiba'u Yerushalayim. That when they went to Yerushalayim, Neser Habamos. At that time, no longer were Bamos allowed. There was no longer a Heter. Which means that even after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, you cannot build a bama. So Tanohi. The truth is that Machlokes Tanoim. Amar Rabbi Lezer Shemati. I heard Kishahi Bainin Behechel that right when they started building the Beis Hamikdash, they made a curtain before everything was complete, they made a curtain. Ukaloyim la'azara, they made curtains for the azara. El sheba heichal, when it came to the heichal, bainim b'chutz, it was built from the outside. However, Azar bainim b'fnim was built on the inside. So that's the only distinction. Says Rashi, Kaloim leheichal, kastav hadaitach b'makom chaymes heichal. It's where those walls eventually will be. Skipping a couple of lines in Rashi, Lohei makriven adshi gomer habinyan. They wouldn't be makriv until actually the binyan was completed. They meschil v'hakriv karbanos mishmosham b'yemei kairish. In the day of kairish. V'ad esrim l'shtaim shana after 22 years. Achakain loy nigmar habayis mishal shalosh l'dar yavish ha'charoin. Okay. So again, the distinction, as Rashi explains over here, is when it came to these curtains, that when it came to the heichal, it was built on the outside. Says Rashi, Shahayu hakaloyim pirushim lifnim mi'oivi achayma shul yichnesu haboinim l'toich heichal. So the builders should not have to go into the heichal itself. However, in the azara, it was on the inside. Rabbi Yeshua, Shemati, Shemakriv Afal Pishain Bias. I heard there would be makriv even though the bias was not built. Even though they didn't have the walls, they still ate kadashim. Kadashim kalim chayma. Even though there's no wall, they still were able to eat it in that basic proximity. Because the kedusha still stands. In the sense that kedusha was there, so therefore the kedusha always remains, and therefore even though, let's say, there was no curtain, there was no wall, so the kachik kadashim, kachik kalam, all these things can be still consumed. Now the fact that it's this sheet of Mechlal, we can infer maybe the kedusha remains completely, and therefore because of that shita, also you would be able to build bumlis. Each one is just saying their own opinions of that which they heard. It's not because of there's a din of you need kedusha, but that's just how they did it. If in fact you don't need these kiloyim in order to be able to eat the kach kedashim, etc., so then what was the purpose of them? Listen to Yusuf Alma. So they built these curtains, again, at least for modesty, so people shouldn't look inside. Maybe it's based on the following Tanoim. Why did the Chachamim count these? That an Elu, Rashi says, is when it comes to a walled city, Metisha. There was not more than 9 of them. So it was not a lot of these walled cities. And it has to do with Bati Arichaima. When a person is able to redeem them, it has to be a walled city from the time of Yoshu ben Nun. So Matzos Elu, they found these walled cities. The Kitchim of Harishainis, when it comes to the other ones, Batlu. Mishabatal Aretz, they became Batal once the ground was Batal. It's clear that once we're no longer in the Eretz, once Kishabatal Aretz, so then these other ones became Batal as well. You tell me these are the only cities? Actually, there's more. The pasuk says Shishim Ir, 60 cities. Kol Chevel Argoiv, Uksiv Kol Elu Orim B'Tsureis Chayma Ugavoya. They all had these large walls. So why are they specifying these? Is because that when they went up, they sanctified them. Kitchum, what do you mean they sanctified them? As we continue them in Beis, Hashda sounds like now, but Ha'amri lo tzricha kedushi. But we said that they don't need to be sanctified anyway. Ela matzos el umanum. The kedusha is already there, but what it's coming to tell you is that they found them and they counted them. Any of the other cities in which there is a Messiah, So we have all the dinim of walled cities, like we learned about the beginning of this Masechta, about reading the Megillah on the 15th of Adar, as opposed to the 14th, because it's a walled city. Also, it comes to the dinim about Yechaima. So that kedusha stays. I kasher b'shmuel Rabbi Shmuel. So Treytan Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosi. The Iboy Sema Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yosi. Maybe it's Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yosi. Wasn't Rabbi Shmuel. It was Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yosi. Amra. The son of Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yosi. Omer kasher lo chayma. Why is it written that way? Lo chayma. Al pi she'ein lo achshav b'chayil kaid l'chein. Even let's say there's the walls aren't there before, but as long as the walls were there, so that's all also considered Gabi these dinim as a walled city. Okay, let's look at question 3. Mehem hastadim b'nidayin imakriben b'beis chanyoy bezman hazeh. What is the din? Are you going to be makriv in this place bezman hazeh? So one is the question was Beis Chanyav, the son of Shimon Tzaddik, did he build this l'shem shemayim or is it for avodah zarah? And also whether you hold kedusha shushalayim kitchel l'shaita b'lasan lavoi, rak l'shaita, and therefore you could do it. So that's the whole machlokas. But based on our mission, it seems that you would not be able to, because even after the Beis Hamikdash has been destroyed, Yerushalayim has been destroyed, he still is an isser of bamais. Well, that's a machlokas. Okay. Weiter. From now until basically the end of the parak is just beautiful. God is going straight through the Megillah. Vayhi b'me'achashverosh. Amar Rabbi Levi v'tem Rabbi Yona's son. Davar zemasaris piyadeinu mi'achaganas gadayla. This was given over, this tradition. Kol machmash number vayhi. Anytime you find in the Torah the word vayhi, enu el lashon sar. It's a language of anguish. Vayhi b'me'achashverosh. Habi haman. Vayhi b'me'shavan ha'shayftim. When it came to the judges, Havi there was a famine. Vayhi ki hechel ha'adam l'oroiv v'yar Hashem ki rabba ras adam. So they saw there was a lot of evil, terrible things. Vayhi ben nasa mikedem hava nivna lano ir. So they wanted to go and build a city. Vayhi b'me'am Rafel asam l'chama. There was a war. Vayhi b'yos Yoshua b'richai v'char b'shlut v'b'yadai. So he had a sword in his hand. Vayhi Hashem es Yoshua v'yimal b'nei Yisrael, so that the b'nei Yisrael, they were engaged in treachery. Rashi says when it comes to v'char b'shalufai b'tziroi shehichicho es bittul Torah v'tamid shel ben arbayim, as we saw in the beginning of this Masechta Daf Gimel, that the Malach came and rebuked Klal Yisrael for not learning Torah, not bringing the carbon Talmud. Vayhi Ish echad min ha'masayim ki es Chana ohev v'Hashem sagar rachma. So it's sad that Chana couldn't have a kid. Vayhi ki zaken Shmuel v'lo hachal banav b'derachav. So yet Shmuel was zaken, and his children did not go in accordance of his ways. Vayhi david achol derachav maskil v'Hashem imay v'hi shol oivin as David. So that even though David had Hashem on his side, nonetheless, he was constantly pursued by Shaul. Says Rashi, Uksiv Hasam he Shaul Oivein as David Bishvil Hatzalachasai. Because of his success, that is what caused Shaul to be upset. Vahi Ki Yashav Hamelch Bavesai Rak Ata Lo Sivna Habayis. You're not allowed to build the Beis Hamikdash. V'ksiv Vahi B'Yom Hashmini on the 8th day. So what happened that was so bad on the 8th day? It was actually a great day. It was like Hashem creating the heavens and the earth. What's wrong with that? So that sounds like a good thing, right? It says yeah, there was good things that happened when Hakamas HaMishkan, but also it's the same day in which Nadav Avihu died. So he is on that. It was in the 400, in the 80th year, in the 480th year. When Yaakov saw Rachel, she was beautiful. There's nothing bad about that. Yom Echad. Va'ika sheni, va'ika shlishi, va'ika tuva. There's many times that it says Vayhi, and it's not necessarily indicating that it's a bad thing or a lashon sar. So it's hard to understand this Gemara. So Gemara answers and qualifies a little bit. Rabashi. Kol Vayhi ika hachi v'ika hachi. When it says the word Vayhi, it can go either way. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be nothing. However, when you say Vayhi b'yimei, when you say it was in the days, eno el lashon sar. Chamisha 5. Vayhi b'mei havi, vayhi b'mei achashverosh, vayhi b'mei shavat hashayftim, vayhi b'mei amrafel. So all those days it does vayhi b'mei achaz. So in the Torah, this is a very difficult question. Question 4. Mahu lashon do olam enu el lashon sar. That's not hard. Vayhi b'mei deichem etzinu lashon zeba Torah. So they wanted you to answer V'hi b'mei amrafel. Okay. But there are other places, whenever it says V'hi b'mei, like V'hi b'mei achashverosh, we know it's obviously a terrible thing. V'hi b'mei achas, V'hi b'mei hayakam, Amrav Levi, Davar zeh mesaras b'yadinu me'avosenu, Almoitz v'amatzia achim havi. These two people, Almoitz and Amsa, were brothers. Rashi says, Amoitz Aviv Shel Yeshaya. Amoitz was the father of Yeshaya. Amsia was the king of Yehuda. So Amoitz and Amsia were brothers. My kamash when Kihad Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Rav Yonasan Kol Kal Lashim Senua Bebeis Chamiyah. Anytime you find a Kal who's modest, Zoich V'Yotzim Mimenu Malachim Uneviim, she's going to end up producing kings and prophets. Manol and Tamar. How do we see this from Tamar? So Yehuda viewed this woman, Tamar, and he thought she was a Zaina because she covered her face. That's hard to understand. This pasuk seems not to flow. Because she was modest and covered her face, that's why she looks like a Zaina. A Zaina doesn't cover themselves. Because she covered herself in her father's house, and he didn't even know what she looked like. So she was zaycha to have kings and prophets come from her. Malachim David. Neviim Diamrav Levi Masas B'Mosenu Amat Amsia Achim Hayu. And that's why again Rashi said that Amsia was a king. So therefore we see that Tamar, because of her modesty, she was able to produce Nevi'im and Malachim, David and Amsia. Uksiv Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amoitz. And it says Yeshayahu, who was the son of Amoitz, as we said, Amoitz was Yeshayahu's father. V'yomrav Levi Davar zeh misaris b'yadenu mi'avosenu makom Aaron enu min. When it came to the Aaron in the Kodesh Kodashim, it did not take up any physical space. Tani mehachi Aaron shasa Moshe. When it came to the Aaron, yeshlo eser amos ochorach. It was 10 amos in all directions. Uksiv lifnei hadvir eser am oirich. That in front of the devir, it was 20 amos. Uksiv kanafa kruv ha'echad eser amos. Kanafa kruv echad eser amos. The wingspan was 10 amos on each side. Aaron gufe hechehavi. If the wingspan was 10 and 10, that's the full 20. So where was the Aaron? The Aaron was miraculously in there. He began darshaning in the following way. The pasuk says, "V'kamti aleihem." So v'charti lobavil shem usher v'nin v'neched nuam Hashem. So what is this referring to? Shem zeksav, sher ze loshen, nin ze malchus, v'neched zubashti. Shmuel bar Nachmani pasuk Hiskel Hai Parshas Mahacha. The pasuk says Tachas hanatzutz, under the thorn tree Yala Boroish v'Sachas Atzirpad Yala Hadas. So what does this mean? So Tachas hanatzutz Tachas Hama Harasha Shasa Atzma v'Nazara. He made himself like an idol himself. The Chsiv V'Chol Hanatzusim V'chol hanahalulim. Yal b'roish zeh Mordechai shenikar roish shechol b'sam shnever v'yater kachachal b'sam im roish mordor. V'tagminim morei dochi. So he was like this wonderful fragrance, smell. Tachas Atzir b'Tachas Vashti Harasha Bas Menoi Shel Nebuchadnezzar. She was the granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar Rasha. Shesarav Refidas Beis Hashem. He destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. Chsev Refidasai Zav Yalva Hadas Zahester Hasadekes. Shenikreis Hadasa. She was called a Hadasa. She never he Oimin as Hadasa v'Hoyel Hashem was shame. So Zu Mikra Megillah. By reading the Megillah, so then a name is produced. For a sign for all eternity. Leikaris El Yimei Purim will not be cut off the days of Purim. Yeshua ben Levi Pasuk al Piskel Har Parshas Mahacha. Pasuk says V'Hayikasher Sas Hashem al Kechem Laheitiv Eschem. Just as Hashem does good to the people who do the right thing, Kin Yashis Lahara Eschem. So he'll punish the evil. V'Chi Umi Chadei Chodesh Baruch Hu Mavatan Shor Rishayim. Doesn't make sense. He's happy when they fall. So if Yomi Rabbi Yochanan Neimalu Nemer Kitay B'Hoidazu, he's not happy. Hashem's not happy when it comes to the downfall of even the Rishayim. So he's not going to be rejoicing over this. So how do we understand this? We look at Rashi. Rashi says, "B'seis lifnei hacholotz, b'hayoshafek sim, b'divrei hayomim, k'shyat elachim al ha'amoinim, b'givoinim shibolav." When it came to this fight against the Amonim and Kavoinim, Hayda Hashem kitayv, mash b'toiv, chikausel lefonav al zois. So there's a reason to be makalos Hashem, to praise Hashem on this. Yom Rabbi Yochanan Ma'idechsev loy karvzel zeh kol halayla, that the Mitzrayim did not come close. There was this fire protecting us when we were by the Yam Suf. Big Shu Malchi Yashar Slom Shira. The angels wanted to say Shira. Arma Kodesh Baruch Hu Masi Yadei Toivin B'Yam V'Yatem Armim Shira. My creations are drowning in the sea. And you should sing Shira. One cannot be happy even when someone did something horrible for us. Amr Lezer Hu Eino Sos Avacher Mesis. It's true. He may not be happy, but others can be happy. So it's interesting. The whole vort of Yernalti Misameach is only on you, because it's happening to you, or it's happening at that moment. But happening something later on, like we sang Oz Yashir afterwards, that was okay. It's only as looking at the diuk of, it says Masiyade Tavim Biyam. While they're drowning is not a time to sing Shira. Afterwards, it's okay. So therefore, that's the explanation here as well. Or in this context, Eno Sos Abel Cher Mesis. So it's others. The Daikanam Nichsev Kin Yosis, Luxiv Yosus. Shmamina. Rav Abba Bar Kahana Pasal Chai Piskal Hai Parshas Mahacha. Well, Adam Shetoiv Lafanov, a person who is good in front of him, Nasna Chachma V'das V'simcha, gives joy and happiness and wisdom. Zem Mordechai Hatzadik. So he gives all the negative qualities to Haman. Rabbi bar Oifra and Pasach HaPischa Parshas Mahacha v'Sabdi Kisim be'elam v'avadati mishal melech v'sarim. So melech zuvashti v'sarim zehaman. Yaseres Banov and his 10 children. Adkan.